This is so neat. They're wanting their wine bottle thing.
I know.
This is so neat. Look at the bird cages. Old bird cages. Trying to show audio.
Whether or not you get into the house, and if you get in the house, how far in the house you may be permitted to go. And that's going to be based on whether or not he knows you, what your business might be, and of course, certainly the clothes you're wearing. If you're dressed in very fancy clothes, some of the government, some of the gentry class, they're going to be invited in, perhaps offered a seat room to my left, the parlor. And the parlor, like many other rooms inside the house, is a multifunctional space. When the house being used for private purposes, being the family's parlor. When the house is being used as a place of business, a place of government, it will be used as a waiting area for some of the more important gentlemen here to see the governor. They may be offered tea by one of the other enslaved servants on the property. You may have seen the tea service on the table. And Captain Foy, Lord Dunmore's secretary, will oftentimes use the parlor as an office. So people coming in might be directed into the room to see Captain Foy and never even see the governor. Now, no matter who you were, no matter what your business was, in most cases, the room to my right, the butler's pantry, is going to be closed and locked. That's going to be the housekeeper's office. It's from the room that she manages and supervises the household staff. That's the work center of the building. And typically, we're going to keep the staff visible behind closed doors. And keep in mind that many of those staff members, many of those servants, are going to be enslaved. But that door is also going to be kept closed and locked because this is a storeroom and this is a public building. And you are going to keep in every room under lock and key some of your more valuable, expensive, imported items. You'll find things in there such as medicines, sugar, spices, teas, and wines. You'll find a crystal in China, silver service for 60, as well as petty cash being locked in that room. But I expect the thing that caught all your attention when you stepped inside, and what caught this gentleman's attention, are all these weapons on display. And that's exactly what they're here for. They're here for display for decorative purposes. They're here to display and symbolize the strength, the power, the authority of British rule. And if you're a loyal British subject, they're to remind you and reassure you you have the strongest military power in the world to look out for your best interests. If you're a French merchant, a French ambassador, Shawnee or Cherokee Indian chief coming into this house, these weapons are meant to intimidate. And they were kept in working order to be used in times of special need. And in the summer of 1774, when Lord Dunmore went out west to Ohio to wage war against the Shawnee Indians, he took 300 of these weapons with him. And a year later, in June of 1775, when Lord Dunmore fled
We're in
the
enemy
house,
territory,
never to
folks.
return, shortly after he left, the Virginians broke into the house and took from the house all the weapons on display. Took them on down to the magazine and military storehouse to put them under armed guard. Because for all they knew, Lord Dunmore could sneak back in the house and take the weapons. And the Virginians didn't want the weapons to be turned against them and be used by the British. But when they took the weapons from us, they counted them. They did an inventory. Because for all they knew, they would have had to bring them back. And we have that inventory, so you know exactly what they took from the house. We have the same number, the same type of weapons on display. They took from the house 540 weapons, 230 ground-breast muskets, 292 swords, and 18 horse pistols. And all the muskets in this room, with the exception of the first four above the fireplace, are original from the period. We have 80 original muskets throughout the house. The swords and the pistols are reproductions. And of course, another thing that caught people's attention when they stepped inside is what you're standing on. And what are you standing on?
Marble.
Marble. Imported marble. This is one of the first buildings, one of the first houses in Virginia, perhaps in all the colonies, that would have had a marble floor. It would have come in from England or from Europe. The white marble came from England, the black marble came from Belgium. And of course, above the closet door is the coat of arms of King George III. The lion symbolizes England, the unicorn symbolizes Scotland. That's just to let you know whose power the governor represents. This is, in a sense, an extension of the royal monarchy. Now, in a few moments, we're going to be going down this pathway into the back part of the building, into the ballroom, the most elegant room in the house. So if you're ready, just follow me this way.
The candle, guys. Oh. Wow.
they're skilled servants, if you will, but it's, he's just got a job to do, and everybody understands that this is the governor's house, so he's gonna determine who gets in the house, and how far in the house they may be. So in a sense, they give a little power.
Trying to get the pictures of them.
Again, they're sort of the security for the governor, if you will. There's no
Well,
civil
he
power.
had to sit there, he had to listen to what the story was and make a determination, so he must have been trusted.
Well, pretty much. I mean, they would come up to the door and they would see what the business was, and he could say, well, you need to go over here, or you need to go over there, or I need to wait here, let me check with the governor's clerk or the secretary, and things of that nature. So you would have a certain level of authority. Now this room here, as you can see, is the ballroom, and it is, again, the most elegant room in the house. And balls are very special events that only happen a couple of times a year to celebrate very important events, like the ascension to the throne of the king, or the king or queen's birth night. Now Lord Dunmore, the last royal governor, did host a ball here in January of 1775. The very last ball was held here. And that ball was held to celebrate the official birth night of the Queen, Queen Charlotte. And if you were one of those 20-odd couples invited, you'd have been escorted through those doors at about 6 by one of the footmen. The master of ceremonies at the foot of the room would then introduce you. Then you and your partner would approach the preference side, give your courtesies and honors to the governor's family, and have an opportunity to take a look at the pictures in the back of the royal monarchs. These two portraits to my left at the head of the room are original. They were done in England in the 1760s in the studios of Allan Ramsay, the court painter. And these are coronation portraits of Royal Highness King George III and his Queen Charlotte. That last ball again was to celebrate her official birth night. The two portraits at the foot of the room are also original, and they were done about 100 years earlier in the 1660s. And these are portraits of the Stuarts, distant relatives of Lord and Lady Dunmore, also relatives of Mary, Queen of Scots. This is King Charles II, the Restoration King, come to the throne after the Cromwells, and his Queen, Queen Catherine. Now after the courtesies have been taken care of, the dancing commences. You start